A new film called Advantix, reeling from tragedy in a blizzard for the ages.
All made news this very week and decades past, right here on Rochester's first TV station. Here's Dave McKinley with News 8 Then.
10 years ago this week, with much Hollywood fanfare, Kodak unveiled the advanced photo system. Despite predictions APS would boost the fortunes of the big yellow box well into the next century, production was halted 9 years later. That wasn't the only new product on the market, as Breathe Right strips became available on store shelves nationwide. 4 years after announcing his retirement due to HIV, Magic Johnson returned to basketball. His second go-around with the Lakers would be short-lived. Only 4 months later, he'd retire again. U.S. troops suffered their first casualty in Bosnia. The great Gene Kelly died at age 83, and after 6 years of serving up the sauce, Spaghetti Warehouse said arrivederci to Rochester this week in 1996. 20 years ago this week, as the pieces were being gathered from a shattered American dream, and heroes were draped in black, and when O-ring suddenly became part of the national vernacular, we may well have tried to make sense of what happened, but no measured words of logic.
It's been an amazingly successful series of triumphs, but it also is fraught with the possibility of tragedy.
Nor any words of comfort.
They served all of us.
Or anything else could ease the shock from which we all still reeled. And you know, it was out of the mouths of babes that came the words to sum up our feelings.
I guess everybody felt sad.
Weren't we all, though, this week in 1986? 30 years ago this week, long before Rochester's airport had jetways, passengers still had to hoof it across the tarmac to board their planes, a rather unpleasant trek in the dead of winter. If you can remember that, you might also recall lining up en masse at school for measles shots administered by a nurse on the business end of one of those inoculation guns. You don't see those used very much these days. Their appearance about as rare as a kid showing up to school in a shirt with a pot leaf on it. That year's Press Radio Club dinner brought sporting luminaries to town. Baseball's Bob Uecker, football's Floyd Little, and this gridiron great fresh off helping Pittsburgh repeat as Super Bowl champs. He was an anchor of the Steel Curtain Pop Quiz. Do you know who this is? 40 years ago this week, Rochester was blasted by a behemoth of a storm which some still consider the biggest and baddest of all times in these parts. Alas, I've not enough time to do it justice here, so I invite you to join me at this same time tomorrow for a News 8 Then Extra, the Blizzard of 66. Until then, it was all News 8 Then.
This is News 8 Now.
Now the answer to the pop quiz about the member of the Pittsburgh Steelers' vaunted Steel Curtain, remember them, who visited Rochester 30 years ago this week.
Yes, I looked at the video and said, hey, that's Jack Ham.
Of course you did.
Fresh off helping the Steelers to their second consecutive Super Bowl win in 1976, Ham was in town to attend the annual Rochester Press Radio Club dinner. He was later enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.